1 Kings chapter 17. The prophet Elijah. Now Elijah the Tishbite from Tishbe in Gilead said to Ahab, As the Lord the God of Israel lives, whom I serve, neither dew shall drop nor rain fall except at my command. Then the word of the Lord came to Elijah, Leave this place and go eastward. Hide yourself by the Wadi Cherith east of the Jordan. You shall drink from the wadi, and for your food I have commanded the ravens to feed you there. So Elijah obeyed the word of the Lord and went to live by the Wadi Cherith east of the Jordan. There the ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening, and he drank from the brook. The widow of Zarephath. After a while the brook dried up because no rain had fallen in the land. Then the Lord spoke to Elijah, Go to Zarephath of Sidon and stay there. I have given word to a widow there to give you food. So Elijah went to Zarephath. On reaching the gate of the town, he saw a widow gathering sticks. He called to her and said, Bring me a little water in a vessel that I may drink. As she was going to bring it, he called after her and said, Bring me also a piece of bread. But she answered, As the Lord your God lives, I have no bread left, but only a handful of flour in a jar, and a little oil in a jug. I am just now gathering some sticks, so that I may go in and prepare something for myself and my son to eat, then we shall die. Elijah then said to her, Do not be afraid. Go and do as you have said. But first make me a little cake of it and bring it to me. Then make some for yourself and your son. For this is the word of the Lord, the God of Israel. The jar of meal shall not be emptied, nor shall the jug of oil fail, until the day when the Lord sends rain to the earth. So she went and did as Elijah told her, and she had food for herself, Elijah and her son from that day on. The jar of flour was not emptied, nor did the jug of oil fail, in accordance with what the Lord had said through Elijah. The widow's son raised to life. After this, the son of the woman, the owner of the house, became ill, and such was his illness that he stopped breathing. She then said to Elijah, What do you have against me, O man of God? Have you come to uncover past sins and cause my son's death? He answered, Give me your son. Taking him from her lap, he carried him up to the upper room where he was staying and laid him on his own bed. Then he called on the Lord, O Lord my God, will you afflict even the widow with whom I am residing by letting her son die? Then he stretched himself on the child 3 times and called on the Lord, O Lord my God, let this child's breath return to him. The Lord listened to the pleading of Elijah, and the child's breath returned to him, and he lived. Elijah then took the child and brought him down from the upper room. He gave him to his mother and said, See, your son is alive. Then the woman said to Elijah, Now I am certain that you are a man of God, and that the word of the Lord from your mouth is the truth. 1 Kings chapter 18. Elijah sends a message to Ahab. After several days in the 3rd year, the Lord spoke to Elijah and said, Go, show yourself to Ahab, that I may let it rain on the earth. So Elijah went to show himself to Ahab. Now the famine in Samaria was severe. Ahab therefore called Obadiah, who was in charge of the palace. Obadiah was a faithful servant of the Lord. When Jezebel slew the prophets of the Lord, he himself took 100 prophets and hid them by 50s in caves, feeding them with bread and water. Then Ahab told Obadiah, Go and check all the water springs and the valleys through the land, looking for grass, so that the horses and mules may be kept alive and not perish. So Ahab and Obadiah divided the land between them, and each of them went his own way. As Obadiah was going his way, Elijah met him. Recognizing Elijah, Obadiah fell on his face and said, "Is that you, my master Elijah?" He answered, "It is I. Go tell your master that I am here." But Obadiah replied, "What evil have I done that you expose me to Ahab's anger? Surely you want me to die. By the Lord your God, there is no people or nation where my master has not searched for you. And if they said Elijah is not here, he would make them take an oath that they had not found you. And now you say, go tell your master Elijah is here. But as soon as I leave, the Spirit of the Lord will transport you someplace I do not know. And when Ahab fails to find you, he will kill me. But I have served the Lord from my youth. Have you not been told, my Lord, that when Jezebel had the prophets of the Lord killed, I hid 100 of them in 2 caves and fed them with bread and water? Now if I notify Ahab of your presence, as you want me to do, he will surely kill me." But Elijah said to him, "As the Lord of hosts lives, whom I serve, I will show myself to him today." So Obadiah went and gave the message to Ahab, and Ahab came to meet Elijah. The sacrifice at Carmel. On seeing Elijah, Ahab said to him, "Is it you, the plague of Israel?" Elijah replied, "Who is plaguing Israel? Is it not you and your family who have disobeyed the commands of the Lord and followed the Baals instead? Now therefore give an order for all the Israelites to gather before me at Mount Carmel, together with the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah who eat at Jezebel's table." So Ahab sent for all the people of Israel and gathered the prophets at Mount Carmel. Then Elijah addressed the people and asked, "How long will you follow 2 ways at the same time? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, then follow him." The people remained silent. So Elijah continued, "I am the only prophet of the Lord left here to face Baal's 450 prophets. Give us 2 bulls. Let them choose 1 bull for themselves, cut it into pieces, and lay it on the wood, and I will do the same with the other bull. But we will not set it on fire. Then you shall call on the name of your God, while I shall call on the name of the Lord. The God who answers with fire is the true God." Then the people answered, "That is right." Then Elijah took the prophets of Baal. "Choose for yourselves 1 bull and prepare it first, for you are many. Then call on the name of your God, but do not light the fire." So they took the bull and prepared it, and they called on the name of Baal from morning until noon, crying, "Baal, answer us." But there was no voice, and no one answered them, while they went on dancing on 1 foot around the altar they had built. By noontime, Elijah began to mock them. "Shout out louder. Surely Baal is a god. Perhaps he is in deep thought or busy, or he has gone on a trip. Perhaps he is sleeping and must be awakened." So they shouted louder, gashing their skin with knives and spears, as they were used to doing, until they bled. It was already past noon, and they were still raving on until the time of the evening offering. But still there was no voice, no one answered or paid attention. Then Elijah said to the people, "Draw closer to me," and they drew closer to him. He then repaired the altar of the Lord, which had been thrown down. He took 12 stones corresponding to the number of tribes of the sons of Jacob, whom the Lord had addressed, saying, "Israel shall be your name." With these stones he built an altar to the name of the Lord, and dug a trench around it that would contain about 2 seahs of seed. He then arranged the firewood, cut the bull in pieces, and laid them on the wood. Then he said, "Fill 4 jars with water and pour it on the burnt offering and on the firewood. They did this. He said again, do it again. And they did it again. He said, do it a third time. And they did it a third time. The water ran around the altar and filled the trench. When the time of the evening offering came, Elijah the prophet came forward and said, O Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, doing all these things at your command. Answer me, O Lord, answer me, so that these people may know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you are turning back their hearts to you. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt offering, together with the wood, the stones, and the dust, and also licked up the water in the trench. All the people witnessed this. Then they fell on their faces and said, The Lord is God, the Lord is God. Then Elijah commanded them, Seize the prophets of Baal and let none of them escape. So they seized them. Then Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon and had them slaughtered there. Elijah then said to Ahab, Go up, eat and drink, for there is the sound of heavy rain. So Ahab went up to eat and drink. Elijah in the meantime went to the top of Carmel, bowed to the ground, and put his face between his knees. Then he said to his servant, Go up and look in the direction of the sea. The man went up, looked, and said, There is nothing. Then Elijah said, Go again and do it 7 times. At the 7th time he replied, A cloud as small as a man's hand is rising out of the sea. Elijah told him, Go, tell Ahab, prepare your chariot and go down before the rain stops you. A little later the sky grew dark with clouds and wind, and a heavy rain fell. Ahab mounted his chariot and rode off to Jezreel. As for Elijah, the hand of the Lord was on him, and tucking his cloak in his belt, he ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. Psalm 141. Lead us not into temptation. Lord, hear my voice and hasten to help me. Listen to my plea when I call to you. Let my prayer rise to you like incense, and my uplifted hands like the evening sacrifice. O Lord, set a guard at my mouth, keep watch at the door of my lips. Let not my heart be drawn to evil. Let me not be enticed into evil acts in company with sinners, and let me not partake of their delights. Let the righteous strike me, it is kindness. Let him rebuke me. But let not the oil of the wicked anoint my head, for my prayer is always against their evil deeds. When their rulers are flung upon the rock, then they will learn that my words were true. As a plowman breaks up the earth, so their bones are scattered at the edge of the underworld. But my eyes are turned to you, O Lord. Do not strip me of life, for you are my refuge. Keep me from the trap they have set for me, and from the snare laid by evildoers. Let the wicked fall into their own snares, while I alone escape safe and free. John chapter 10, verse 1 to 23. The Good Shepherd. Truly I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the gate, but climbs in some other way, is a thief and a robber. But the shepherd of the sheep enters by the gate. The keeper opens the gate to him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls each of his sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. A stranger they will not follow, rather they will run away from him, because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. This was a parable that Jesus told them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So Jesus said, Truly I say to you, I am the gate of the sheepfold. All who came before me were thieves and robbers, and the sheep did not hear them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. He will go in and out freely and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy, but I have come that they may have life, life in all its fullness. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. Not so the hired man who is not the shepherd and to whom the sheep do not belong. He abandons the sheep as soon as he sees the wolf coming. Then the wolf snatches and scatters the sheep. He is only a hired man, and he cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of this fold. These I have to lead as well, and they too shall listen to my voice. Then there will be one flock and one shepherd. The Father loves me because I lay down my life so as to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own free will. It is mine to lay down and to take up again. This charge I received from my Father. Because of these words, the Jews were divided again. Many of them said, "He has a demon and is out of his mind. Why listen to him?" But others said, "A possessed man does not speak in this way. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind?" Jesus claims to be the Son of God. Then the time came for the feast of the dedication in Jerusalem. It was winter, and Jesus was walking back and forth in the portico of Solomon.